Hi, and thank you for watching this introduction to my portfolio site. I'm creating these snippets because unfortunately I don't run my own HTTP servers, and they are actually running on a third party, subscription-based host that isn't the best. So sometimes my site is up, sometimes my site is down. So in case my site is down and you've reached this page or my YouTube page here, I can kind of give you a brief overview of the pages and on my portfolio site, as well as some of my work. Um, the basics of my portfolio site is that I'm using basically skeuomorphic design, which is something I enjoy. Nowadays, after the turn of the second century, 21st century, if you will, um, people are into the flat design. I come from a very design oriented and illustrative background. So I like the shadows and the skeuomorphic design that cues attributes from structures that are necessary in kind of the original parlance. So basically, I have rounded corners and I have like this sheet of paper here that pops up from the screen because it's got a drop shadow in it. So now again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So some people like flat design. Some people like something a little bit more realistic looking, even though it's on a digitally rendered page within a browser. Uh, so again, it depends on the beholder, the client, the persona. Me personally, for my own work, I prefer things that are more realistic. If you understand what I mean, skeuomorphic design. I am a big champion of 508 compliance and accessibility. So I do employ some tools here. For the most part, my site is does fall within at least the double A, out of one being very little and three being very high standard for being built for the visually impaired. Or otherly impaired. Some people use screen readers. Some people use other devices to navigate through a website. So at least two is middle enough to be able to be creative, whereas not too restrictive or not too loose, so that people can actually view your work. So I do incorporate some tools here. I've got a contrast tool here, where some of the text here will just come in more contrast. It is a slight, uh, kind of a slight change that may or may not be noticed, but still exists nonetheless. And then also from a font size. All right. So I built this site. I received my first associates in 1995. I have another associates in a BA and a bunch of certifications in UX, as well as in accessibility, web accessibility. So, on my copy right here, 1995 through the current date, which is 2025. And here I like to show what I'm employing, which is PHP, MySQL, using jQuery. I know jQuery is outdated, but I like jQuery. It's CS3 and HTML5, basically to build this site. So this is a self-built site. Built everything from the ground up. I'm using MySQL as backend and PHP as my server-side scripts. So again, I've employed a search feature. There's a resume link where you can view my resume. And briefly here, I'll show you that. And then I've added some micro animations here. And again, you can download my resume or you can print it out. And again, using skeuomorphic design to make this look like a parchment or a document, right? And I've got a lot of experience. I'm just going to scroll through this briefly. And again, I created this using Photoshop to make this look like an actual document, right? So that's skeuomorphic design. So we go back to the main page, and the main page is going to highlight that I can control in the back end what is going to be a featured piece of work that I've done. right? So this is a website that I designed and built for a friend of mine in the martial arts community. Let's see, I can refresh this. Another one will come up. This is some work that I did on the job using Angular and creating design patterns. Let's see here. This again the same sort of concept, except it was just more or less a dashboard that I created. Other things that come up is a site that I created for myself that highlights a series of DVDs for people in security or law enforcement. It was an e-commerce site that I have. I still have to rebuild, and I may highlight that later. Um, so this is how the home page responds. And again, I have micro interactions, some micro animations just for interest, to add interest. I do have an animation background. I always wanted to be an animator as a kid growing up. Big Hanna-Barbera fan. If you know, you know, Jetsons, Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, they're all Hanna-Barbera uh, uh, characters, products. They ruled, I think, about 75%, if not 80%, of Saturday mornings back in the 70s and 80s. So if my age group, you should know, and I'm a Gen Xer, you should know about Hanna-Barbera, and I have some work that kind of highlights some of that work, some of that inspiration. Okay, so again, just to briefly navigate. As an introduction, if I go to my portfolio is going to take you straight to web design, and these are examples of work that I've done in the web design realm, and I got a lot, and there's stuff I haven't even added here that I just sits in archive, right? So I've done a lot of, since, you know, the internet became a big thing 1998, 99. Since then, and then underneath this web design here, and again I'm gonna unclick this. I'm using cookies to store the settings that the user may have for the accessibility. But under new media, I have animation, all in alphabetical order, motion graphics, multimedia, user experience design or UX design, and web design. Okay, so underneath here I've got subcategories under new media, which is part of the Web 2.0 movement. Again, animation, I've got some examples which we'll go through as far as animation that I've done when Flash was all the rage. And motion graphics would be kind of the same thing, using micro animations. Again, when Flash was the new and cool shiny toy. Got some multimedia where I'm employing audio visual as well as animation, using other people, employing other team members' work, whether they're illustrators or whether they're designers, to create a product. User experience design, mainly using prototyping tools like Figma, Adobe XD, Axure RP as well. And then just general web design, right? Which is the landing page, right? I have a degree in advertising design, so that would incorporate logo design here, 2D design for labels for various clients, bilingual labels, DVD covers, logos, magazine ads that I've created throughout my career of doing kind of all things visual. Illustration. Again, I really wanted to be a comic book artist and animator growing up. So I do have innate illustrative skills. This is some of the work that I've done for Jostens. These are hand-drawn, hand-rendered, computer rendered illustrations. And for this example, I'll go more in depth, but these illustrations were taken directly to the CAD designers to create pieces of jewelry. And these are roughs. This is also character design for animation, some animation stills, freelance work of just creating different little avatars, so on and so forth. I'll go through more of that when I create the video for my illustration. And then lastly, I will talk about the interactivities, right? So again, when Flash was all the rage, I created a lot of games, and that's where I started to cross over from being a designer to kind of a developer, or at least a designer who can code, because I wanted to create my own animated games. Now Flash isn't really a thing anymore, and yeah, you can use JavaScript and HTML5's Canvas and things like that to create games. I just don't think they're as interactive or as cool or easily accessible for the average designer to create. But I did create some games where everything I created from scratch. Okay, the illustrations, the sound, the code, etc., etc. And it's unfortunate that Flash, I was able to take video recordings of them, so I'll walk through some of those. But it's unfortunate that you can no longer use Flash anymore. But these were games that you could actually go to my website and actually play on them. So again, I've incorporated the date. I could also incorporate local weather, other different widgets and stuff. I have a search engine on here that I've incorporated. So for example, if you want to search for Angular, you just hit enter, and then anything that I've done using Angular, for example, would appear. All right, so I have a vast body of work, so one can search my site for specific criteria or elements. So at any rate, this is just an introduction to my website here, and let's dive in to some of the actual specific pages.